what I want to say to folks is you are about to get a lot of DTI thrown at you via the mainstream media. And the reason is this, because a lot of the international experts come into our country, they use the DTI as a reason to suggest that our property market is going to collapse. And that's without fundamentally understanding the nature. So they might go into a suburb and they'll say the DTI is too high. But what we got to remember is, if you go back to one of the reasons why we love established properties and why we say location does 80% of the heavy lifting, let's just get a suburb that in theory is being used by one of these experts with a higher DTI. If it's an established suburb that's been around for a little while, what's interesting is these are rough numbers, but a third of the people in the suburb don't have any debt. A third of the people in the suburb have some debt, and a third of the people in the suburb have a lot of debt. So the high DTI is assuming everyone in that suburb is affected, right? And it's not. And equally, some of those people who will be affected might drop off, but other people will want to move into that suburb because of the demand. And typically those with higher DTIs are usually on higher incomes, and those people can afford it, right? So it's actually unpacking what's under the DTI that's really, really important. I had a story last week. I was a keynote speaker at a business down my way where I was speaking to 100 investors. And one of the folks come up to me and said, "Hey, listen, I'm in new estates and I am noticeably noticing that there is a drop in demand." And I said, "Well, it's interesting, right? Because you are in a place which is a bit like a property supermarket where you go down one aisle and you say, I'll take that piece of land off. And then you go down the other aisle and you choose that builder. And then the next aisle, you choose that floor plan, and all of a sudden you bring it together." But what's interesting about the new estates is DTI becomes very important in those new estates because typically speaking, everyone has a similar profile by nature of these new estates because that's an affordability play. They're moving into that place, so they might have the same amount of debt, high LVRs. They might have the same amount of kids. They might have the same dog. They might have the same savings. They might go on the same holiday. They might have the same income bandwidth. And so by nature, that suburb doesn't have a risk profile that allows you to have comfort in the fact that that DTI would make you nervous, right? So you can see that demand's come off given the nature of the people that we're going for. So DTI will come up a lot. And to your point previously on our previous question with Ben, at the last bit, he says, just what thought you could discuss your idea that the debt income ratio has increased quite a bit, meaning small increase in interest rates mean a lot of pain in the pocket. Yes, it does. Yeah. And so that's why you have to, if you listen to what Ben said before about don't do it if you're putting yourself under pressure, and if you were too aggressive and you don't have a buffer in place, it will be biting. There will be pain in the pocket right now. We're not denying that. But it's important to distinguish between responsible lending and having buffers in place versus DTIs used as a weapon by media to bring fear into a property market. When you look under the bonnet and you have a look at the detail underneath what that means, not in established suburbs where location does 80% of the heavy lifting, you have a variance in debt profile across. And that's what we like about it. That's why we're attracted to those suburbs. That's why we put our clients into those suburbs, man.